Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I'm going to share with you how to play my favorite double stop, my favorite interval on the guitar, which is a sixth. But not just any sixth, it's where we take a note and then we play the third of that note as the lower note. So the higher note is basically the root note, the lower note is the third, but between that third and the root note is a sixth. At this point in the video, that's probably confusing, but stick with me and it will make sense. Before we get into the lesson, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all of the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. And if you want to be notified of any new lesson, be sure to also tap the bell and leave a comment and let us know what future lessons you'd like to see on the channel. That's where we're always looking. All right, let's get into it. So in that intro, you saw me take the C major chord and I worked my way into it by going, right? So what's going on there, if we think here's C, right? And here's a C major chord. Now this note in the chord is the major third. We have a root, we have a major third, we have a perfect fifth, we have another root, we have another major third. If we just take the root and the major third below it, between this note and this note is the interval of a sixth. So from this note back up to this note, I'll play that note right here. Right, there's the same note. So this is kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the key of C, if I go through the scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and I know that if those were chords, it would be C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, back to C. Then I know that I need the major third below, then I need the minor third below, then the minor, then the major, then the major, then the minor, then the minor, then the major. Right? So I could play the scale and then I could play it in sixth. Cool, right? So just adding that one note almost makes it sound like you're playing a chord, and you get these cool lead ideas that are easier to slide around and almost make them sound like lead ideas, but still serve the purpose almost as like a chord, right? So the same way singers harmonize a line, we could harmonize a line on guitar, just 2-part harmony, right? Instead of 4-part, 5-part harmony, which could get overpowering. So just those 2 parts. Right? So this kind of implies, for instance, E minor, D minor, C, but not necessarily. It's also just harmonizing a riff. It's in that middle ground of like, well, is he playing chords or is he playing riffs, right? It works both ways. Like if we think about a song like the Beatles' Blackbird, right? That song is played using a similar concept. It's just a third and a root, but it implies chords, right? So check out Blackbird if you also want to learn more about just playing a 2-note chord or an interval that implies a chord. Okay, so what I did is I just went, I slid into this sixth from the E. This is the E and its minor third. So I went, right? And this is based off the C shape in Cage. So this is a C major chord. Right? A D minor chord would look like this. E minor. So if you look at that full chord shape, you just want to isolate these 2 notes. So if you're in the key of C, you could just play around with. Then I went to the G. Now here, I went, so now we're going to do the same concept, but instead of from the C shape, from the E shape. So here's a G major in the E shape. We say the E shape because here's an E major. And if I move it up to the 3rd fret, it looks like that, right? Okay, so here, this is our root note G, and this is our major 3rd, in this case, B. Now, if I stay in the key of C, G is major, A is minor, so that's what the minor looks like from a high E string root. It's on the same fret. B is diminished, but it's still a minor 3rd, and then back to 1. So now here's the C major scale on the high E string. 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. Right? So I can go 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So from the G, I went and then came back down to A minor, but played it as a bar chord. Then I went down to a G bar chord, and then I slid into this F back in the C shape, C, D, E, F. So from the G, I went, and then I did this cool little pentatonic riff, and then this C major pentatonic riff. And that's a C major in the G shape. Cool, right? All right, so the main takeaways here is get to know the scale across the high E string and know that major looks like this, minor, it's on the same fret. And get to know 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor. Let's go down to 7. 7 is minor. It's diminished, but it's a minor 3rd. Back to 1. And then here, it's the exact same thing. Root, major 3rd. Root, minor 3rd. D minor. Root, minor 3rd. E minor. Root, major 3rd. F. Root, major 3rd. G. Root, minor 3rd. A minor. Root, minor 3rd. B diminished. Root, major 3rd, C major. So if you're in C major, right? Start in open position. You know, you don't need to travel too far up, and then experiment. Reminds me of a very famous song. So the other thing I want to talk about is how you should pick these, right? Because you have a string in between. So I sometimes use a pick and sometimes I use my fingers. Today I'm using my fingers because I feel like you can get more control with the fingers. And what I'm doing is kind of like the lobster technique. So I'm using my thumb on the lower note and my index finger, and I'm just kind of, it's like a claw, right? So I'm just kind of pulling the strings, trying to get an even volume between the two. I'm not pulling too hard. I'm not, just very soft. I'm not pulling out my whole hand. My hand stays stationary, and it's just the tips of my fingers. Okay, now with a pick, I mute the A string and the G string with the flesh of my middle finger, and then I mute the high E string with the flesh of my ring finger, and then I'm even muting the E with the flesh of my thumb. So when I go like that, I could strum all 6 strings and only hear those 2, right? Right? So it's all about just muting the strings you don't want to hear. And it's the same thing here. So So the most important thing is muting the middle note and then whatever, string is above or below the sixth as well. So just keep an open ear and make sure you're not hearing this. Make sure you're not hearing that open string. All right, everybody. So that is sixths. I hope you have fun with that concept. Get creative with it. Move it around the fretboard. Maybe come up with your own riff. In the intro, I spent about 30 minutes coming up with that final take. I just sat there and played with the concept over and over until I was like, this is something I want to put to video and share with you guys. So yeah, the creative process is messy and it's fun. And don't be afraid to make mistakes and try new things out. Hope you come up with something cool. If you want to learn more about playing guitar, head over to guitartricks.com. There's sequential courses just for guitar fundamentals, genre specific like blues, country, and rock. There's a library of song lessons with downloadable tab and backing tracks, all at guitartricks.com. All right, everybody, happy playing, and I'll see you in the next lesson.